All right, burgeoning viewers, one quick note for you. A subscriber a day in October. If we hit 31 subscribers in 31 days, one lucky subscriber will walk away with the entire Modern Horizons art card series. Additionally, a comment a day. Any subscriber that leaves a comment in every video posted by MTG Burgeoning during the month of October will become eligible for the November Pack Wars. On November 1st, a list of all subscribers that left a comment on every MTG Burgeoning video during the month of October will be compiled, and from this list, one subscriber will be randomly chosen to participate in the November Pack Wars. So hope for peace, but prepare for war. Welcome, MTG Burgeoning community. Here we are, Saturday, October 3rd, the first of our Saturday content. And then tomorrow, well, tomorrow is Sunday Fun Day, baby. All right, so before we get to the bulk of our content for today, because we're going to do something a bit different, I just want to throw a shout out to all of our MTG Burgeoning subscribers to let them know that if you have not already, there are only 3 packs remaining for our Pioneer Sweet 16. And a quick rundown of what that is you claim one of these packs in the comment section below. It's 1 per subscriber. And once all 16 packs have been claimed, we open those bad boys up, and whichever subscriber picked the pack that had the most valuable card in it, he or she are going to get that card, baby. And we only got 3 left. We got Ixalan, Shadows over Innistrad, and Guilds of Ravnica. So if you have not yet selected a pack for the Pioneer Sweet 16 number 4, grab one of these 3, throw it in the comment section, claim it as your own, and let's crack these babies open. Okay, so we've got that all taken care of. We are here. We are Saturday content. And what we are going to do today is we are going to budget build an EDH commander deck. That's right, folks. We are going to budget build Isamaru, the Hound of Konda. We're going to do it. It's going to happen. Mono white budget EDH commander deck. Isamaru, it's not going to take too long to explain him. It's a legendary hound. He costs 1 white and he's a 2/2. That's it. We are going to go straight Voltron strategy with Isamaru. So we're going to include all kinds of equipment, auras, things to power him up, but not to overpower him, of course, because, again, we are building on a budget with Isamaru. We're going to take this doggy out for a walk, baby, and we're going to walk all over the faces of our opponents. So that is our commander, Isamaru, the Hound of Konda. All right, so the first 12 cards of our deck are going to comprise the core of our deck. And these are the cards that we're going to look to really set up our equipment and aura engine. And we want to try to make these first 12 cards as synergistic as possible in trying to create the most powerful Voltron strategy we can with Isamaru under the confines and parameters of the budget build that we're trying to put in place. So we're just going to start off with card number 1 and go straight down to card number 12. And the first card is going to be the most expensive card in our deck. And in my mind, it is going to be the most important card of the deck. And that's an enchantment from Eldritch Moon that's called Sigarda's Aid. For 1 white, we can cast aura and equipment spells as though they had flash. Whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under our control, we may attach it to target creature we control. So with Sigarda's Aid in play, we can cast our auras straight to Isamaru or any of our other creatures that we may include in this deck as though it had flash, and any equipment we cast goes right onto the battlefield, right onto one of our creatures without having to worry about paying the equip cost. And we can do that at any time. Sigarda's Aid in this build is our most powerful and important card. And that is number 1 in this Isamaru budget deck. Sigarda's Aid is number 1. Card number 2. We have SRAM, the Senior Edificer. For 1 and a white, it's a legendary dwarf advisor with a 2/2 body that says whenever we cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, we draw a card. There will be no vehicles in this deck to the best of my foreshadowing knowledge, but I guess we'll see what the MTG Burgeoning community has to say about that. We're going to have lots of auras, we're going to have lots of equipment, and each time we cast one of those, Shram is going to put a card into our hand. This is number 2 most important card in our deck, because with the number of Voltron pieces that we're going to include in this deck, it's very possible that we run out of gas pretty soon, pretty quickly after getting our doggy out there for a walk, and Shram will make sure that each time we cast one of those pieces, it puts a card back into our hand as a replacement. All right, so we are up to card number 3, and we are sticking with the legendary creatures, but this one is just an uncommon. But there's nothing uncommon about what she does, baby. Danitha Capuchin Paragon. For 2 and a white, this legendary human knight has a 2/2 first strike vigilance life-linking body that reduces all aura and equipment spells we cast by 1 generic mana. So this is our mana cost reducing creature to help us cast our equipment and aura with flash and a reduction, and drawing a card each time we do so. And Danitha, with a body of 2/2 first strike vigilance and lifelink, if she has to pick up some of this equipment or wear some of these auras, we're not going to be disappointed in that one bit. All right, card number 4. This does not have any synergies with the auras in our deck, but what it does with our equipment is too powerful to ignore. And that's Pure Steel Paladin. For 2 white, we have a 2/2 human knights, and whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under our control, we may draw a card. Pretty sure we're going to draw a card. This also has the Metalcraft mechanic, which means as long as we have at least 3 or more artifacts, which should not be a problem, equip 0 for all of our equipment as the result of that. So any equipment cost to equip our creatures will be 0 if we have 3 or more artifacts on the battlefield. So if you can imagine just the overall powerful synergies of these first 4 cards, Sigarda's Aid giving them flash, Shram letting us draw a card when we cast it, Pure Steel Paladin getting us to draw a card when an equipment enters the battlefield, and Danitha reduces all of the spells that we cast by 1 colorless mana. Pure Steel Paladin, very powerful in this deck. Card number 5, similar to Pure Steel Paladin, as it had no synergy with any auras, this next creature has no synergy with any of our equipment. However, Mesa Enchantress has a good amount of synergy with our auras. And not just auras, but also any enchantments we cast along the way. For 1 and 2 white, she's a 0/2, and whenever we cast an enchantment spell, we draw a card. Straightforward, right to the point. We cast an enchantment spell, Mesa Enchantress puts a card in our hand. All right, so since we are building a mono-white Voltron Isamaru deck that's going to focus on equipment and auras, initially, I'm sure the first thought was, well, there's no chance of us putting an Enlightened Tutor in this deck, and you're right, there's no way that we can fit that into a budget build for this type of deck. However, that doesn't mean that we can't put some other type of tutor in our deck. Enter Open the Armory. Okay, now you explain to me why this isn't played more often. 1 and a white at sorcery speed. Search our library for an aura or equipment card, reveal it, put it into our hand. This is the demonic tutor of auras and equipment. I'm not saying that this card is better than Enlightened Tutor. I'm not saying that this card is more powerful than Enlightened Tutor. However, Enlightened Tutor costs 1 white and it's an instant, and it goes to the top of our library and we reveal it to all of our opponents. For 1 and a white at sorcery speed, we search our library for an aura or equipment, which is what we're focusing on in the theme of this deck. We do have to reveal it, but then we put it into our hand. Open the Armory, an amazingly underplayed and underutilized card. All right, we have reached the halfway point. So we're in white. We're playing Voltron. We're going to have auras. It's safe to assume that we're going to have some auras go to the graveyard. We're going to see some equipment go to the graveyard. How are we going to get those things back? Open the vaults. For 4 and 2 white, return all artifact and enchantment cards from all graveyards to the battlefield under their owner's control. Does this card have the possibility of helping our opponents? Yes. It is very likely that our opponents may have some artifacts and enchantments in their graveyards. Will it help them more than it helps us? Most likely not. So we can think of Open the Vaults as an artifact and enchantment specific living death in some ways. It will most likely help some of our opponents, but it will help us more, and the benefits seem like they outweigh the potential risks. So Open the Vaults is going to be added as one of the first 12 cards in this deck. All right, so we are almost done. We got 5 cards left. Next card, again with the focus of graveyard recursion, we're going all the way back to Weatherlight. For 1 white at instant speed, we have Argivian Find, and we can return target artifact or enchantment card from our graveyard to our hand. This is not aura specific. Auras didn't exist back then. This is not equipment specific. Equipment did not exist back then. So this, can go the entire spectrum of any artifact or enchantment from our graveyard right to our hand. Argivian Find is exactly that. Quite a find. Ha ha ha. Slaughter me in the comments for another one of my amazing puns if you must. All right, so as we're trending right now with the first 8 cards of this deck, and as we're going to see as we continue with the rest of this deck list, there's going to be a focus on a smaller converted mana costs for our permanent spells. And one of the benefits of that is to make sure that we can maximize what Sun Titan can do. For 4 and 2 white, 6/6 vigilance, when Sun Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, we may return target permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from our graveyard right to the battlefield. So that's any of our auras. Most likely, let me reframe that. It's most likely any of our auras, most likely any of our equipment, most likely any of our creatures. Sun Titan in a budget build is awesome for us. Okay, and now we get to the double digits, the last 3 cards. And card number 10 of the first 12 is our first aura. And I think will be one of our most powerful auras in the entire deck. And that is from Throne of Eldraine, and it's All That Glitters. For 1 and a white, enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment we control. We're going to have enchantments in the form of auras and other enchantments too. We're going to have artifacts in the form of artifacts and equipment. All That Glitters is going to make our doggy up there very, very powerful. Aura number 1 is All That Glitters. If we're going to include our first aura in these first 12 cards, I think it's also important that we include our first equipment. And that is going to be Hero's Blade. This uncommon from Fate Reforged is 2 to cast and 4 to equip. Equipped creature gets +3/+2. However, whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under our control, we may attach Hero's Blade to it. So if we get Hero's Blade into play early enough, and we have to assume that Isamaru is going to get put down to the command zone multiple times in one of our games with this type of deck and the type of commander strategy that we're trying to develop here. Each time we cast Isamaru with Hero's Blade in play, it's going to attach right to him, and he's going to start off as a 5/4 before anything else is even added to him. Hero's Blade is the best equipment that we have in our deck, and making the first 12 cards of this budget build. And here it is. We're down to card number 12, the last card of our first video in budget building Isamaru. And it is a perfect aura for what we're trying to do with our commander and what we're trying to do with the theme and focus of this deck. And it's Gift of Immortality. It doesn't provide buffs. It doesn't provide keywords. It doesn't give any mechanics. But what it does is so powerful for what we want to do. For 2 and a white, this aura says, whenever enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Return Gift of Immortality to the battlefield attached to that creature at the beginning of the next end step. So from a straight destruction standpoint, if an opponent does not destroy Gift of Immortality, it's just going to bring Isamaru or any of our other creatures back from the graveyard onto the battlefield, and then at the beginning of the next end step, we put Gift of Immortality right back on that creature. It's going to take an opponent destroying Isamaru twice, or exiling him, or exiling or destroying Gift of Immortality to stop that loop. So as an aura, to bring back itself from the graveyard is impressive, but to also bring back our commander or any of our other creatures is even more impressive. And Gift of Immortality is an indispensable aura that we must include in this kind of deck. And there you have it, folks. Those are the first 12 cards in this budget build for Isamaru. The next 12 cards, I want your best suggestions for equipment to add for our doggy to carry around on the battlefield. Now, we are in a budget. These first 12 cards, including the cost of our commander, were already under the $25 mark. This is the core of our deck. These are the most important 12 cards to go with our commander. Our next 12 cards, which will be equipment, should, as an aggregate total, come under $10. So we should be looking at equipment that are less than $1, and there should be no equipment added that's over $2. So we're looking for a total of 12 equipment under $10. No one single equipment can cost $2 or more. This is MTG Burgeoning, and this is our Saturday content. And what a debut! Budget building with Isamaru, Hound of Konda. Want to become a Pack Wars combatant? 4 easy steps. Step number 1. Click on the link below in the description, or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/MTGBurgeoning. Step number 2, select either membership or support. Membership will enroll you into Pack Wars for $5 each month. Support will cost $5 for 1 month. Step number 3, complete payment information. The name you use will appear on the site. Use your real name, use your YouTube handle, or use no name at all and be anonymous. Be sure to include your email address in the information. Step number 4, most importantly, prepare for war.